Welcome back to the Global Ledger. I'm Justin. Every global financial system has rules. Rules about capital mobility, market access, and cross-border flows. Most of the time, however, those rules are treated as permanent. Until they aren't. Today's episode is about capital controls. What they are, why countries use them, and what it really means when a government decides to break the unwritten rules of the global financial system. Because capital controls aren't theoretical. They're what happens when constraints overwhelm credibility. Let's get into it. At a basic level, capital controls are restrictions on money entering a country, money leaving a country, or how money can be converted. They can take many forms, like limits on currency exchange, taxes on inflows or outflows, restrictions on foreign investment, forced conversion rules, or outright bans, really. So despite the variety, they all share one goal: to slow or stop capital movement when it becomes destabilizing. So, under normal conditions, countries prefer open capital flows. Why? Because open capital markets lower borrowing costs, attract investment, deepen financial markets, support growth. Capital mobility is a signal of confidence. When investors believe they can exit freely, they're more willing to enter. This is why restrictions are usually avoided until pressure builds. Capital controls don't appear during good times. They appear when currencies are under attack, reserves are draining, or domestic banks are at risk, things like that. At that point, policymakers face a choice, and those choices are let capital flee or try to intervene. And controls are chosen when the cost of openness exceeds the cost of credibility loss. Contrary to popular belief, capital controls are rarely about punishment. They're about time. Time to stabilize banks, rebuild reserves, restore confidence, or restructure obligations. Controls don't fix underlying problems at all, in any way, but they do create a space to address them. Whether that space is used well kind of determines whether controls succeed or they fail. But there's a cost of breaking the rules, okay? Capital controls come with real cost. Once they're imposed, investor trust erodes. Risk premiums rise, and capital becomes cautious long after controls are lifted. Markets remember these kind of things, and controls tell investors exit is conditional. And that is a lingering memory in an investor's mind. Which is why capital controls are rarely a first choice and really often a last resort. Capital controls keep coming back, though. Despite the costs, capital controls reappear on and on, repeatedly. And the answer is this: because the global financial system is asymmetric. Countries borrow in currencies they don't control. Shocks often arrive from abroad, and capital moves faster than policy, always. In those moments, the theoretical benefits of openness collide with real constraints. Controls become a defense move, not an ideological one, I could say. This fits into the global dollar system tremendously. And I'll connect this to ARC 7. From reserve currencies to trade finance to offshore dollar creation to dollarization, the system rewards openness but really punishes fragility. And capital controls are the moment when a country says, we cannot absorb this shock at current speed. They are a signal of system stress, not isolation. But there's something that capital controls tell us about the future. When a country imposes capital controls, it's telling you something really important, not just about policy, but about balance sheet weakness, currency mismatches, or external dependence. Controls really, I think, are a symptom, and they reveal where the global system has pushed too hard or too fast. Capital controls are what happens when national systems collide with global finance. But when those national defenses fail, or they're not enough, other institutions step in. In the next episode, episode 67, we'll examine the IMF. And we've heard about the IMF, and I think it's time to talk about them. Be a perfect establishment, institution, whatever you want to call it, to tie in. And we're going to talk about a question we should ask ourselves about the IMF. Are they a global lender of last resort, or are they a crisis manager? Because once capital controls appear, they start to appear, the next question is always probably the most important, where everything starts. Who provides liquidity when markets won't and countries can't? Thank you for listening to episode 66 of the Global Ledger. I'm Justin, and thanks for being here.